Welcome to the Trash Station Podcast, your podcast all about the weird, unknown, and forgotten video games. I'm your host, Chris, also known as Scotch and Hobbies on the internet, and I'm here with my co-host, Max, aka Potomax.
Hi, Chris. You know, in our friend circle, we're known to play some kind of trashy games. We're talking anime games, retro games, games you've never heard of, and the indie stuff on itch.io and everything in between.
And as usual, we'll add those games to our tier list that we call the Landfill, chat about our creative hobbies, and shout out some of our favorite content creators on the internet.
And that sounds good! And this time I think we're gonna jump right into the games because I've seen you play some trashy games in the past few weeks, and I think you have a lot of to talk about.
I do. So, over the past few weeks, I've done several streams on my Twitch page, twitch.tv/scotchandhobbies, where essentially what I've done, I have an EverDrive for the Sega Genesis, and it has, so I essentially have access to every Sega Genesis game, every Sega CD game, every Sega Master System game, every Sega 32X game, and I can play the Sega CD games and the Sega Master System games without those additional consoles or adapters. Like you would normally need a Master System adapter to play Master System games on the Genesis. I don't need that with the EverDrive. I would need the 32X if I wanted to play 32X games, because that does actually add like additional RAM to the hardware.
Okay.
And so I can't play those without buying that additional console adapter, but I can play Sega CD games. And I've been interested in the Sega CD for a long time because it's like this weird CD console that came out that like has FMV games on it and like some 16-bit games from the period of time in my childhood when I was playing Sega Genesis a lot, you know, in the early 90s, except with like CD quality audio and in some cases better visuals and actual voice acting. And so I've been interested in the Sega CD, but I've never really wanted to collect for it because it didn't sell well and because those games are so expensive.
Yeah, for sure. And does the EverDrive speed up the loading times, or is it emulating like one-to-one with how it would have loaded back in the day?
I think it might speed up the loading times, but I still get loading screens in some games. So I don't know how much it's actually affecting the load times because I never played any of these games on original Sega CD hardware.
Yeah.
But so what I did during my stream was I found a website that I don't remember the name of, but if you search for like randomizer wheel on the internet, it's going to be the first one that pops up. And on there I have a wheel where I have every Sega CD game that has been released in North America, so nothing that I wouldn't be able to read in Japanese, which is great. And then I was, for hours at a time, just spinning the wheel, finding a random Sega CD game, and just playing whatever it told me to. And it's been a lot of fun. And I have a lot of Sega CD games to talk about.
I bet you have. I've been watching a bit of those streams, and it was really fun to watch too. Just discovering those games randomly with you was a fun experience.
Yeah, it has been a lot of fun, and I think for right now I'm gonna take a step back from doing that. I'm gonna put the idea into the bin, and I'm gonna come back to it at a later point in time because I am getting a little tired of playing some of these games that are not great, if I'm being honest with you. What I have found, though, is that the Sega CD has such a wide variety of games. So my first game is Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. And this game, for whatever reason, I always thought was a beat-em-up, but it's not. It's kind of like a racing game, like you're in a car, except you're not racing against anybody. You're driving along a path and trying to avoid obstacles while at the same time aiming a cursor to shoot at obstacles that are in your way to try and blow them up so that you don't get damaged yourself. And you're in a Cadillac, and you're trying to avoid dinosaurs along this path as well. And it's not great. So, I do not recommend, and I would put it solidly in the trash bin. Get rid of that game. We don't want it.
All right. I bet you were really, really hyped up when you saw that name.
I was, yeah. So, second game, and actually a couple games that I kind of want to talk about back to back are Racing Aces and Star Wars Rebel Assault. These are both flight sims, but they're running on Sega Genesis hardware, essentially, which is not great. It's not great hardware to try and emulate 3D space. Racing Aces was extremely jerky and ran at about 5 frames per second, and I was getting a headache trying to play it. Throw it back in the trash. And then Star Wars Rebel Assault was originally a DOS game, and I think if I were playing it on DOS, it would be fine. But playing it on Sega CD, it was tough. The controls were better than Racing Aces in my opinion, and it wasn't quite as choppy, but it was still rough. I'm gonna say this one is almost trash, but it's like at the very bottom of that tier. Cobra Command. When I first saw Cobra Command, I thought this was going to be another flight sim, but it's not. It is a Dragon's Lair clone. Are you familiar with Dragon's Lair?
Yeah, the classic arcade version, where with ease and very, very punishing gameplay.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Except you're flying a helicopter, and the QTEs pop up really quickly in a really small box at the bottom of the screen, and you have so little time to actually interact with them. It's absolutely terrible, and the frame rate runs at about 5 frames per second again, because it's trying to emulate 3D space instead of being FMV or actual like 16-bit animations. Throw this one right in the trash.
Yeah, what's the point of having all that video and gameplay if all you have to do is focus on that little box and hitting the right key at the right time?
I played another Dragon's Lair clone. This one was actually kind of cool. It was called Revenge of the Ninja. This game is anime. 100% anime. And it has fantastic animations, and the levels aren't very long. I got to the 9th level during my stream, and each of the levels is like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to a minute long. But it's still that Dragon's Lair style thing, except the QTE prompts pop up like on screen like you would see in like a modern game where QuickTime events would happen. So they pop up like close to where like the animation or like where the animation is happening, and the animations were really good. Like this was really well animated. I think of the two, this one was better, and it's almost trash. It's not bad. I could see myself playing this a lot when I was young if I had it, for sure.
And when you say anime, is it like classic 90s anime
Very
style,
much so.
or
like late 80s
Sweet.
classic anime style?
Yeah.
That's
very cool.
It's a very cool style. We're gonna keep going with some bad Sega CD games. Cliffhanger. Are you familiar with Cliffhanger, the movie, the Sylvester Stallone movie from like 92?
No, actually, I'm not.
Okay, well, the movie is fine. Like it's a pretty typical 90s action movie. The Cliffhanger game on Sega CD is exactly the same game as the one that's on Sega Genesis, which means that it's absolute fucking garbage. Except this one has video from the actual movie in between the garbage gameplay levels. So that adds a little bit of like coolness to this one, but not enough to make the game good because the gameplay is terrible. It's a beat 'em up that doesn't work right. It's got like terrible hit detection and like platforming that doesn't work because either you jump too short or you jump too far and miss your platforms every time. It's horrible. Don't play Cliffhanger.
And what's the moveset? Is it just Sylvester Stallone punching dudes, or?
So, because it's the same as the Sega Genesis game in the actual gameplay, you're a little very crappy looking sprite. You are essentially playing Sylvester Stallone's character, and you have a jump button and you have a punch button. And those are your buttons. There's 3 buttons on the Sega Genesis controller. You use 2 of them.
Somehow you managed to not even use 3 buttons. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's not good. It has bad hit detection. Like, this is not a fun game. So fun story about Cliffhanger. Actually, my dad had gotten us this Genesis cartridge when we were young, and my mom took it away because the game was, quote, too violent, because this was in the middle of the 90s, violence in video games panic that moms were getting into at that point in time. And she took away this game, but she didn't take away our... we had the 6-in-1 cartridge for Genesis that had Shinobi 3, Golden Axe, and Streets of Rage. All of which are exponentially better games and more violent games than Cliffhanger.
Wow. But because there was Sylvester Stallone on the box.
Yep.
It felt more violent.
It felt more violent. Alright, do you want me to keep going? Because I can keep going.
Yeah, for sure. But, so Cliffhanger, is it back in the trash or almost trash?
Oh, it's back in the trash.
Okay, fine.
It's absolutely in the trash. Like, throw it away. If you own copies of Cliffhanger for Sega Genesis or Sega CD, like, set them on fire. They're bad games.
It's a bad day for the trash bin.
It's gonna be. I promise you. Jurassic Park on Sega CD. This game is a first-person point-and-click adventure, kind of like Myst. Except, you're trying to control it with Genesis D-pad, and you have to, like, point at dinosaurs that are running at you and trying to kill you, which is not good or fun. And I also don't really like first-person adventure games like Myst. Like, that's just not my genre. So, I did not have fun with this. It can also go right back in the trash.
All right.
Power Factory is music video editing software on the Sega CD. You have...
What?
Yep. You have 3 songs to choose from, and I don't remember any of them. They're pretty, like... They're good songs. Like, they're banger hip-hop songs from the 90s. They were good. But you literally are just listening to the song. You have 3 options of, like, video that you can play that are kind of down at the bottom. And you press A, B, or C to choose between those 3 video options. And then with the D-pad, you can choose different filters to go over those 3 options. And as you're doing that, it's like saving and recording how you're, assembling this music video with those 3 video options into like one main screen, and then you can watch that back after you're done. That's all this game is, except it has FMV cutscenes at the beginning of it with dudes in like a factory, like hammering on like CDs. It's wild.
That sounds like the most batshit music game ever.
Yep. I've
sent you the cover of the game. It's wild too.
Oh, did you?
Just like a boy screaming with his Genesis controller and a bunch of images on the back.
That's great. That's so 90s.
Yeah, it's fucking 90s. It's 90s the video game.
Yeah. We're gonna throw that one into almost trash, cause I think for what it is, it's kind of cool. but like it's not much of a game.
Yeah, it sounds more like a toy. I don't think you could make a full like. You could maybe make a song, but you couldn't make like a full album with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's enough of that. Star Wars chess. I know you were in my stream when this game came up. It's very, very slow chess with Star Wars characters. And when you go to take one of your opponent's pieces or one of their pieces go to take one of your pieces, it has to load. And then a little animation comes up where, like, one of the Rebel Alliance pieces is like Chewbacca, and he'll like hit a stormtrooper or whatever with his Wookiee crossbow, and then then it goes back to the chessboard, and there's no music, and it just runs slow. It's not good.
No.
Throw it in the trash. Get rid of your copies of Star Wars chess. It's not worth it.
One of the worst ways to play chess.
It might be the worst way to play chess. And I like chess. Like, I'm not great at chess, but I played chess a lot in high school. So we'll get on a little side tangent here for a second. I was an angsty teenager who wanted nothing to do with like any of like the school institutions, but one of my classes was one of my study room classes. The teacher was the leader of the chess club, and he would have chessboards in that study hall, and I would play chess in study hall against that teacher, and he was constantly trying to get me to join the chess team because I could beat him at chess in high school. And I didn't want to because I thought it would be uncool of me to play on the chess team.
Just because it was the chess team
the school. Yeah, because it was the chess team. I kind of wish I would have, because like I wouldn't care now as an adult. Like, that would be fine. Like, I would totally play chess with somebody. Like, yeah, sure. Let's do this.
Let's go. Yeah.
But not as an angsty teenager. No, I'm too cool for chess.
We made some weird choices at that time.
Oh, for sure.
At that age, yeah. I think you skipped Jeopardy.
Which game?
Jeopardy. Right after Jurassic Park.
Oh, Jeopardy. You're right.
Oh, sorry. I pronounced it like a French boy. Jeopardy.
You're right. I did. I completely skipped Jeopardy. Okay, so are you familiar with the game show Jeopardy with Alex Trebek?
Yeah, but guessing. Like, I know the premise and all, but I've never really cared about that show.
Okay. This is an FMV game of the game show Jeopardy with Alex Trebek. So you have him, he comes out on stage, he says a line, and then is like, here's the 6 categories. And it shows you this. He doesn't say the categories out loud because they didn't want to pay him to record that many things. So the categories come up, and then you choose one of 6 playable characters, and they none of them are voiced either. They just like act out little like vignettes when like
they're digitized. They're actors.
Yep. And it's just Jeopardy. Like you select a thing on the screen, and it'll be and Alex Trebek will pop up, and it'll be like, well, here's the clue, and he has like 10 different variations of saying here's the clue, and it'll show you the clue, and then everybody, if you know the answer, you have to try and hit the A button or any button on the controller as fast as you can to hit the buzzer, and then it pulls you into a text prompt screen where the keys or the letters are not arranged; they're arranged alphabetically instead of in QWERTY like a normal keyboard. So you have to like actually move.
Oh yeah.
And you have 60 seconds to type in the name of your answer. And
but like answers from Jeopardy aren't like kind of long. Like, what is blah blah blah? Do you have to type it out loud?
You don't have to type in the what is. You just have to type in the final answer.
Okay, cool.
Your spelling has to be 100% correct, though. If you spell something slightly wrong, you're fucked, and you'll get a wrong answer. I'm not great at obscure trivia, which is why I've never tried to be on Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not very good at this game. I think it's actually pretty good for what it is. Like, if you like Jeopardy and you want a Jeopardy trivia game and I think you can play it 2-player also. So if you want a 2-player Jeopardy game to play on Sega CD for whatever reason, this is fine. Like, this is going to go and this is fine. But I don't actually have much else to say about it except for, like, it's Jeopardy. Like, it's literally just the game show Jeopardy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you reminded me, I had the same thing about being 100% correct with your spelling with a game of that type. Mm-hmm. It's a French game. It was one of the TV game shows, and they had an online version on the web in like the mid 2000s, maybe 2007 or something like that. Okay. And you could play online, and it was a bit like Jeopardy, but you just had to answer questions, and one of the last right before the final round, it's a 1v1, and then you have to bet how many answers you can get. And I had the Harry Potter books, and I bet I think 6 or 7 because I knew all of them at that time. And I didn't get it because you had 60 seconds to type everything. And it was like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It was the only way to win that round was to type everything correctly in 60 seconds. That was insane. And I lost because of that.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have really fast typing to be able to do that in 60 seconds.
Exactly. I should have let the other people mess up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. I have 2 more games to talk about before I go ahead and pass the ball back to you.
That's fine.
Surgical Strike is an FMV game. And I think I understand how this game is supposed to function, but I don't think it functions well. Essentially, you'll get like an FMV cutscene and the guy's like, "Oh, you're the greatest pilot of tanks ever in the world and we need your help." And then you go into this top-down map of a city and you have no instruction of what you're supposed to do. And I think what you're supposed to do is adjust the direction that you're facing on these streets that are like in a grid, kind of Bomberman style, and then press like the activate button, and then that will drive you down the street in that direction. And then every time a turn would come up in one of the intersections, you can press left or right to turn your vehicle down one of those streets. The problem is that you're also trying to shoot at bad guys in that same screen, which means you need to be using your D-pad on the Genesis controller to move like an aim cursor across the screen and shoot at these guys before they do enough damage to your tank and blow you up.
Yeah.
And then every time you get to like a couple of intersections or like a stopping point, it'll stop and it'll play another FMV cutscene, and then you go back into that map, and then like that's the general loop. I think that's what you're supposed to do in this game. I did not look up a digitized version of the manual, which probably would help with this one, honestly.
Okay.
I don't think this game was very good, but the FMV cutscenes were very funny. So it's going to go into almost trash.
Okay.
Be just for the fact that I think those cutscenes are funny.
Yeah, what happened in those cutscenes?
You have like a general yelling at you for the most part.
Okay, I see. It's like in first person?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see. Yeah, I get the vibe.
Yeah, so like, it's like this guy dressed up as like in military fatigues with like a military hat, and he'll be yelling at you like, "I thought you were supposed to be good at this stuff," and then it'll cut back to the map screen.
That's the purest Sega CD experience you can have.
Yeah. So I failed the first mission of this game, and so when I failed and I lost my first life, he's like, "I can't believe you destroyed the tank. What the hell is wrong with you?" And then the second time, I get thrown in prison, and like somebody shuts the door, and there's like a guard standing outside, and he's like, "We thought you were supposed to be the best. I guess you're not," and just like tosses the key behind him.
Wow, that's amazing. I want all of those in GIFs.
I bet you can find them. I bet you could find a compilation of all of these FMV cutscenes on YouTube.
Yeah, I should look that up.
All right, final game. This is one that everybody's going to know about, I'm sure, because it's kind of famous, and that's Night Trap. I don't understand Night Trap. I don't understand what you're supposed to do in Night Trap, really. You're like controlling like multiple cameras looking into this house, and there's like these guys dressed in all black with weird weapons and stuff. And they're like trying to break into the house and get at these people that are having these teenagers that are having a party in the house, and you're supposed to like switch between these monitors, I think, and activate traps that you don't know where they are to stop them. It's weird. I don't understand this game. I don't know why this game is famous, and I don't understand why people like this game, or if people like this game, but people seem to talk about this game like it's one of the greatest games on the fucking Sega CD. So much so that it got a fucking re-release via limited run games like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Why? This game's...
I don't know. I think the reputation is just following the game more than anything. It's one of the reasons. I think there was the old 90s propaganda about games being violent and like rapey stuff and everything. So I think that's just a reputation.
Okay. Well, I don't understand this game, and throw it in the trash because it's not fun. So it's going right in the trash.
I'm sure it's gonna upset someone. I don't know who, but I'm sure it's gonna upset someone.
Probably. And you know what? I don't care. I'm not here to appease people's feelings. I'm here to tell you my thoughts about video games, and my thoughts about Night Trap are this game is not fun, and I don't understand why people like it. All right, so like I can understand the reputation of like violent video games and how it was used as an example in the court, but that doesn't mean that the game is worth playing.
Nah, right.
All right, I think that's enough of me ranting about not very good Sega CD games.
Yeah, I can take the lead for a while. I've played another Game Boy RPG, so I've been a bit on an RPG kick right now. I've played the Harry Potter game the other episode, and I'm actually playing Sea of Stars right now, which is fucking great. I've only played like 4 or 5 hours, but I'm really liking the game. So for what I've played, it's really fun. So that's cool.
Cool.
But it's gonna show up someday on the tier list at a later date. For now, I played another Game Boy game on my phone, and it's the RPG called Great Greed. And from what I've heard, it's a bit of like a modern hidden gem, like that was recently found or something like that.
Okay.
Have you ever heard about Great Greed?
No, never heard of it at all.
Okay. It's a pretty basic RPG. So basically, you're just a teenager walking the forest, and then you get teleported in that other world where there's pollution everywhere, and the bad guy, the biohazard bad guy, is trying to take over the world and spreading pollution. He just controls the land, and the story is very weird. From what I've understood, he's like, that guy is also coming from the real world and is trying to pump up energy from that world for the earth. It's not very clear why this guy is polluting so much in that other world, but that's what he does, and we have to stop it. And the two main characteristics of this RPG is, one, everything is named after food. Like every character, every town, every enemy, it's all food related. There's a burger town, there's a guy named Steak, the princesses are like gumdrops, and I don't remember everything, but it's just it's just so silly. And even at one point, there's a fourth wall message from an NPC saying, "Yeah, we know everything is named so weirdly, so what? The devs had fun." Just calling out that, yeah, we just did, the translation is just random. And the other main gimmick of the game is that it's a turn-based RPG, but all the actions take place at the same time. So let's say we compare this to Pokemon. Let's say you decided to do the electric attack. Well, and no, maybe not the let's say you decided to do an electric attack and it would paralyze your enemy, but your enemy will also be attacking at the same time, so he would just be paralyzed after his own attack. And that gives a bit of a weird feel to the combat, because you have a lot of different magic that you can do, plus your main sword and some healing spells. But I never found like the spells were doing anything. There are some spells that would make the enemy go to sleep, but they would only lose a turn. So if I do my sleeping spell and that enemy would be attacking at the same time as me, well, I would get damage while he's getting asleep, and the next turn I would attack and he would wake up. So it's just the same as if I just had attacked. The sleeping turn didn't matter, because in 2 turns I lost an attack and he lost an attack, so it's just exactly the same. So the game is very, very basic. You have to go from town to town, defeating the bosses, and all the gameplay boiled down to was just mashing the attack button and healing after every fight. That's basically all you had to do, because there's no real strategy, because I didn't see any like rock paper scissors mechanics. So the fire attack didn't seem to do much more than my sword, and didn't leave burn effects, and so I was just attacking, finishing the fight, healing. The only time the game was a bit challenging was during the boss fights, because they have a lot of HP. You don't know how much HP they have, but they have a lot of HP, so you cannot just spam the attack button. You have to attack and then heal during the fight, and there's also a block button. So most of those boss fights would have like a rhythm, like the enemy would do like attack, block, heal, let's say. So during the 2 attack phases, you would block, and then after it would be a good time to attack and then heal yourself. So that was kind of fun, like repeating the same fight and learning the pattern to ultimately beat the boss. So that was cool, but sometimes it just wouldn't work, and I would just grind for a couple of minutes, gain a level or 2, and then I would beat the boss. So it's, yeah, all in all, it's a very basic RPG. I'm very glad I played it on emulator, because I had the double X speed. So most of the time I would just be walking around and doing the fights extremely quickly, because otherwise I think the game is like 20 something hours, and it's just 20 hours of walking slowly, doing fights, mashing the attack button. So that that would not have been super fun, but yeah, just as a side game, playing on my phone from time to time, just to kill time. That it was fine. It was a fine game. I had fun reaching the end, and I think those like the silly characters and the boss fights actually made me want to finish the game, because on every turn it was kind of funny just seeing what would happen, and then I would actually have to build a good armor and have a little bit of strategy. So yeah, great. It's a fun little RPG, and yeah, I don't know if you have any questions on that.
No, I don't have any questions. Like it sounds like a pretty basic RPG.
Yeah, if you're in the mood for an RPG, you can do way worse, and you can do way better. But if you just want some turn-based RPG, yeah, that's fine.
Where are you gonna
That's
put
fine,
it on
and
the tier list?
that's exactly where I'm gonna put in the tier list, in B tier. This is fine. Uh, I think if people think this is an hidden gem, it's a bit an overhype, especially in the first few zones. It can get a bit frustrating before you understand that you need to heal, and before you have enough magic points to actually heal after every fight and get all those items that can help you actually manage to do those traversals where you have to fight a lot of enemies, but you have so little magic points. But once you understand the game, it's fine. But I wouldn't say it's an hidden gem. It's just like it's just a fine RPG.
Okay. Well, I have a pretty fine RPG to talk about also, and that's a game called Vi.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
spelled VAY. So this is another one of the Sega CD games that I found. And this is a very, very standard JRPG. I believe this game came out in 1993. And so far, I've gotten through like the first major section of the game, and it's very, very linear, which I don't think is necessarily a problem, because a lot of RPGs kind of will put you into a big, wide open world and just kind of say, go, and you're left without knowing where you're supposed to go. Like,
Yeah.
you start in one corner of this map, and there is one path for you to walk on to get to the next town, and then to get to the next thing, and then to get to the next thing. And I think that's fine. So, to take a step back from that, the story of this game is essentially that you are this character that I did not write down their name, and you're a prince, and this other nation attacks your castle with, like, mechs while you are in the middle of you're in the middle of your marriage ceremony with your wife or your bride, and these foreign invaders come in, they kill the king, they kill the queen, they steal your bride from you, and now you have your motivation to go and try and solve the world's problems. And what's funny is that, so for one, this is another anime game, like very 90s looking anime game. You wouldn't be able to tell from the cover of the game, but there are animated cutscenes, and they are the most 90s anime that you've seen in all the anime. And there's these mechs, and the mechs look really cool, but the rest of the game is like traditional medieval fantasy. And so like there's this whole backstory of this like mech that came from across the galaxy and was basically laying waste to your world, your planet. And these 5 sorcerers sealed it away thousands of years ago. And in order for you to defeat these mechs that your enemy nation now has, you have to unlock the 5 orbs that are sealing this old mech away and revive this thing.
That sounds like an RPG.
Very much so. And I have so far found the first of those orbs. And it's very, very simple turn-based stuff. You get into a battle, you have attack, magic, use an item, defend, run, or the one interesting thing is that you can do AI controlled battles, which I found was really cool. I haven't really used it too much yet, mostly because either I feel like I can just do the battle myself and I would rather just do it myself, or because even against like the low level enemies, by the time like I'm strong enough to defeat the low level enemies when I had to backtrack, all I have to do is just hit A couple of times and a single attack will mostly just kill them, or I can hit A and then like scroll over to the AI and then that will just kill them either way. So I haven't found it super useful, but I think it's interesting that it's there at least.
Yeah, especially for the time.
Yeah, especially for the time. Whenever you go into a town, every town has the same kind of stuff. You have an item shop, weapon shop, armor shop, and an inn where you can stay and full heal your party, all of your HP and MP. You get multiple party members. I'm currently at a party of 3 characters, but according to the website that I've been using to kind of help me with some stuff in this game, which I'll talk about in a second, there are 6 total characters, and you can have up to 4 in your party. Combat's the very traditional JRPG combat. You're looking at the back of your characters. Your enemies are in front of you. You don't like run towards them or anything. You just make a simple animation where you're at and damage numbers appear. The encounter rate in this game, if you're familiar with JRPGs from the 90s, you'll know that encounter rates are generally pretty fucking high. Yeah. You get into encounters about every 3 to 5 seconds of being on the map. I think the longest I've spent walking on the map is about 15 seconds. The good news is that you can move pretty quickly. By holding A, you can run, and you move very, very fast.
Nice.
So, like, that helps, but the encounter rate is still really, really high. But you do kind of need to... Like, the game's built around the fact that the encounters are high, so you're going to need all that gold that you're getting. You're going to need all that experience that you're getting in order to get through the next dungeon that you're eventually going to have to go into. Items are pretty expensive, and they definitely do require grinding to, like, get proper gear to get through, like, the next dungeon area. Like, the primary dungeon of this first big area, it took me, I don't know, a solid 2 hours to get through it, because I was able to get to it and get part of the way through it, and then I was like out of healing potions, so I had to leave, go back to town, full heal my party, buy a bunch of new gear so that I had better weapons and better armor and a bunch more healing potions, and then go back into the dungeon again and, you know, restart that process. So that's kind of a pain, and I don't know, like, I'm not a huge fan of JRPGs. I find that they tend to not hold my interest for a very long period of time, but so far this one has managed to hold my interest, and I think it might just be because I haven't played an RPG for a while. There's another annoying thing with all of the items. They don't give you, like, full descriptions of what they do basically anywhere within the game. So I've been using a website that I want to shout out called rpgclassics.com, and that website, this is a very old school website. Like, it has, like, just spreadsheets on a blue background for all of the weapons and armor and items and everything within this game.
It looks exactly how I thought it would look.
It looks like a mid-2000s website, and it's great, and I love it. Because what it's allowing me to do is be able to tell the difference between the armor that's in the shop and the armor that my characters are currently wearing. And there's another one of the kind of annoying things, and this is pretty typical for RPGs of the era, is that, like, you're looking at a piece of armor in the shop, and it'll tell you this shield, like bronze shield, I don't remember the exact stats. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, I want also to shout out RPGclassics.com because I used the exact same website while playing Great Greed. At some point, I just was so fucking tired of not knowing what my spells were doing. So I searched like Great Greed magic spells, and I ended up in the same website. And there's one spell called Tactics. And do you want to hear the description from RPGclassics.com?
I would love to.
Interrogation point. Nobody knows. So yeah, that's so weird. Wow. I find it so fun. Okay, I let you continue.
Okay. So like, we'll use the bronze shield as an example. Like, in the shop menu within the game, it'll tell me the bronze shield costs X amount of gold, and it gives you +8 to your defense. But then I can't compare that in the shop menu to my current equipment. So I have to close out of the shop menu completely, go into my character menu, look at the item in my shield slot, and it tells me, oh, you're currently wearing a leather shield. Doesn't tell me what its stats are. In order for me to find out what its stats are within the character menu, I have to unequip it and then go back into the character and look at what stats have changed in my total stat block. And then I can re-equip it to find out. So this is why I've been using RPG Classics, because it just has all this information in a spreadsheet, so that I can just look at it and be like, okay, this piece of gear is better than the one that I'm currently wearing. I can go ahead and buy this, sell the one that I'm currently wearing, and I don't have to worry about that. So, like, this is the kind of bullshit that looking at guides and, like, tools online, like, this would be so frustrating back in 1993 when you don't have access to this kind of information, right?
Yeah. It was exactly the same in Great Greed, but in Great Greed, every time you found something new, it was always better than the thing that you found last. So it was very simple. New town, new items, better gear. So
and like, that's usually true, but you could buy an item, but that item you may not be able to equip to your current character. So maybe you go into a new town and you don't have the character necessary for the item, because the items can only be equipped to certain characters in your party. So maybe you want, a new chest plate for your main damage dealer, your main character, but you don't know which of those chest plates he can equip. So you buy one that you think is going to be better, but then you find out, oh no, I can't equip it to this guy. I can only equip it to this other character. So now you've just wasted, 3,000 gold. That just took you 20 minutes to get 3,000 gold of grinding a battle every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the RPG Classics, great website. I hope they never go away. I love them. So, there was another thing that I found kind of annoying that happened. So there's a part where I needed a very specific item, and I didn't know that I needed the item until it was too late. So you're trying to get to this island where there's a volcano, and that's where like the orb is that you're trying to find. In order to get to the island, you have to go to this tower and talk to like this wind witch, and have her like teleport you on a vortex across the ocean to this island. Well, while you're in the dialogue with her, she'll be like, the last time I did this with somebody, like the noxious fumes killed them. And then she just sends you on your way. And if you're not wearing a gas mask, on every member of your party, you'll get a full party wipe and have to reload your last save.
No way.
Yes. Which I was not wearing a gas mask on every member of my party. I was wearing a gas mask on 2 of the members of my party because that item had better stats than what they were wearing previously. But on my 3rd character, who I had just gotten, the gas mask only added like +2, I think, to her helmet slot in defense. And I was like, well, 8,000 gold for +2 doesn't seem worth it. I don't remember if it was 8,000 gold. It might have been less. It doesn't matter. It was like the gold to defense ratio didn't make sense. So there was no reason for me to buy it. So I didn't until this happened, and I had to reload my last save. And then I had to walk all the way back to town with these constant battles happening, go buy the gas mask, walk all the way back, constant battles happening. And then I can finally go to the island and get through this final dungeon of the first area. You can save this game at any time, and you have 3 save slots. And if anybody is interested in this game, I highly recommend using all 3 of those save slots because it's very easy to like save lock yourself in a place where you will never be able to make it back to town. Because enemies can do a lot of damage. You have limited healing items and you have limited mana. So if you're like, let's say you're far away from the closest town. It's going to take you 15 battles to get back to town. And you're at like 10 HP, 10 HP, and 10 HP. You're never going to make it if you have no healing items. So you're going to have to constantly be saving in different files to make sure that you're not accidentally locking yourself out of like having to restart the game. If that makes sense.
That sounds super stressful.
A little bit. Overall, though, like I think this game is actually pretty cool. It's a JRPG that I have never heard anybody talk about, and that's probably because it lives on the Sega CD, and I don't think it's actually trapped there. I think it got ported to Steam, and it's on like Android and iPhones.
Oh, right.
So, I think it is a little bit more accessible nowadays. I don't know if, I didn't look into whether or not those listings are still available, but I'm like...
Yeah, it's there. It's $7, so...
That's fine.
It's really not that bad.
Yeah. I think I would imagine the Sega CD, version of the game goes for several $100s, because Sega CD games are stupid expensive, so... For $7, if you want a very basic JRPG, this is a pretty good one of those. And coming from somebody who's not a big fan of JRPGs, that seems reasonable. I think before. Well, do you have any questions about this before I put it on the tier list?
No, I think you were pretty expansive in your descriptions.
Okay. I think this goes squarely into this is fine. It's a reasonable JRPG. I'm going to keep playing it. I don't expect it to get much better or much worse than what it currently is, but I'll at least continue to play it while I'm having fun with it, and if that means that I beat it, so be it, and if that means that I abandon it after 10 hours, well, I had fun with it for the period of time that I was playing it, so...
Yeah.
It's a cool game that I had never heard of before, and one of the benefits of doing these randomized streams.
Yeah, exactly. And it's even available for Apple TV, so you could play it with a TV remote.
Oh, sweet! It did perfect with a TV remote. It's the most simple turn-based thing you can deal with. It's literally nice. Menus.
I wish I had an Apple TV. I have an iPhone, but I don't have an Apple TV, and sometimes I'm just man.
Yeah.
I would love to find a used Apple TV just to toy with it. I think there's fun things to just be able to stream the iPhone and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, I'm going to talk about two. I'm going to bundled two games, two kind of mini games in the same section.
Okay.
The first one is Magic Cat Academy 3. The Magic Cat Academy series is a series of Google Doodle games. And it's the third one. They release one around Halloween every so often, and this year they released a new one. So this is a fresh new game, and the idea behind the Magic Cat Academy is you're a cat, and it's kind of a tower defense game. So you're in the middle of the screen, and there are creatures moving towards you, and to defeat those enemies, you have to do the spells, the shape of the spell to cast them off. So an example, in the first stage you would have a little ghost coming after you, and the spell would be an horizontal line, and then another creature would be a vertical line. And yeah, what do you want to say?
I want to say I'm sold already because I like tower defense games and I love cats. So I need to play this.
Yeah, exactly, and you have 3 games to play. And like the gist of the game is that if there are like three different enemies coming after you with the same symbol, you can do that symbol once, and it will remove that symbol for every enemy on the screen. And if I remember correctly, you have to do those spells from left to right. So an enemy could have 4 different spells on him, like horizontal line, vertical line, and then a V, and then an upside down V. And if you do that horizontal line, it will remove that horizontal line. But if you do the V, it won't remove the V because it's too far on the right in the chain of spells that you have to do. So you have to manage all those enemies coming up and do the spells in the right order to destroy those enemies without them touching you. And the game aren't long because they are Google Doodles. After all, it's just something to do while you open up Google around Halloween. And the boss fights are exactly the same, but you have like longer chains of spells to do. And so the main levels are just like a bunch of enemies coming at you, so you have to manage all those spells at the same time, and then the bosses are longer chains of spells. And you can play it both on your computer with doing those motions with the mouse, or you can also do it on your phone and doing those motions with the touchscreen. And both work super fine. And for Magic Cat Academy 3, I would say that this game is B tier. This is fine. I think my favorite of the bunch, because I played all of them, I think that my favorite of the bunch is the second one. The second one was actually kind of difficult. I remember having to play it like through it twice or 3 times before I actually managed to beat it, because the final boss was actually quite difficult. And this one, I just plowed through it without really thinking about it. I just did the spells, and I think I got it once in the whole game. So it's fine. It's a fun mini game, and if you like tower defense and cats, it's super cute. I love the art style. It's kind of I would like to say like a bit airbrush drawing. So it's super cute. It's a fun time, and if I would recommend just going through the old series. Every game is mostly the same. In the third one, you go to space, fight like some aliens.
Cool.
So yeah, there's nothing really much to them. It's just a fun silly little time.
The drawing system, is that kind of like Okami?
I have not played Okami, but from what I've seen, yeah, it's pretty much the same. I think in Okami, especially in the Wii, you have to do like those motions with the Wiimote. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically like that, yeah.
Oh man, you should play Okami. That game's great.
Yeah, it's in the back of my mind. Like, yeah, I heard this game is so good, and I should find time to play it.
You're gonna need a lot of time. That game's like 30 hours long. It's insane.
Oh,
yeah, wow. I've never beaten it because of how long it is. Like I put a solid 20 hours into the PS2 version of it, and it's just like it. I still love it, despite the fact.
Yeah.
But it's a long game. It's much longer than you think it should be.
I'm gonna dive into it at some point for sure.
All right.
And in terms of did you have anything else to say before I go to my next game?
No, I was gonna ask you, what's your next game?
Yeah, my next game is another kind of mini game. It's not very long. It's called Boom Flapper. It released 8 days ago. I think from a Russian guy, because I found this game on itch.io, and the itch.io page, it's like the alphabet, it's all in Cyrillic, so I believe it's some Russian language, but I'm not sure. The guy is called Max Bakula, and no, Bumaskin. Max Bumaskin. And the game is basically Flappy Bird, but the bird is an atomic bomb. And it's short levels, a bit like Super Meat Boy. So you're playing a very tight, very condensed version of Flappy Bird, and every level is a specific challenge designed by Max to play through. And like the first, I think there's 25 levels. The first 10 levels are like a breeze. You just go through those different saw blades and walls very easily. But then you get into some levels, and the first 2-3 first time that you go through them, you're like, yeah, that's fucking impossible. Everything is too tight. I cannot move my my bomb through all of those things without exploding. But after like 10 or 20 tries, it's almost like second nature, and the levels, you can go through them very easily. So I would say the game is super well designed, and I had a good time going through all of the 25 levels, and at the end I had to replay the same level like 30 or 50 times, but I was determined, and I felt like the challenge was just on the right level for me to say, yeah, it's my fault, I didn't get the right timing on my flaps. And once you're done with the main game, you get an infinite version of the game, just like Flappy Bird. And that version, I have a bit more trouble with it. The game goes really fast, and the pipes, in that game it's not pipes, in Flappy Bird it was pipes, but in this game it's saw blades going through metal sheets, and everything is like too tight together, so if you don't get a good pattern, it's kind of impossible to course correct yourself. I think my I score is 75, and the last achievement to complete the game is 100, but if you don't get a good pattern, I think it's legit impossible. And sometimes you have to, like, you would have to, like, place your bomb in the right spot, like 3 pipes down, before actually to make like that 4th pipe coming up, and that's just not possible to do. So yeah, it's a fun mini game. I think the main game with levels is pretty fun, but the challenge mode is not well designed, and like it's just one guy making that game, so maybe they will update the challenge modes at some point. But for now, I would say the game as a whole is fine. I would also put it in the B tier. This is fine. It's a fun mini game, and if you like challenging games, if you like Flappy Birds, that's a fun version. It's just a fun little hour of playing a challenging Flappy Bird.
Cool. So I'm gonna talk about several, not nearly as many Sega CD games, but I'm gonna talk about a few more that I don't have like a lot to say about. But I definitely have some things to say about them, but not nearly as much as I did about most of these other ones. Or I guess I should say, not nearly as much as I did about Vi, but more than I had to say about our entire introduction of me ranting about kind of shitty Sega CD games.
Yeah.
So, question before I get started. Have you played the Chuck Rock video game?
I don't remember if I have, but I know the game. You're the caveman and you're bouncing your belly, right?
Yes. So, on Sega CD, there is 2 sequels to Chuck Rock, and I played both of them because somehow they both popped up on my randomizer. Chuck Rock 2,
Wow.
you play as Chuck Rock's baby son. So did you in the Flintstones back in the day, there was the baby in that show called Bam Bam, and he was the little baby, and all he said was Bam Bam, and he had a big fucking club. That's the inspiration for Chuck Rock 2. You play as Baby Chuck, you got a big club, you hit things with the big club. It's an action platformer. I don't have much else to say about it, except that, like, there's a little bit of, like, puzzle element to it, where, like, there will be, kind of like in Chuck Rock 1. So, in Chuck Rock 1, there would be sections where there would be, like, spikes, and in order to get past the spikes, you have to, like, find a rock on a higher platform, and then pick up the rock and throw it on the spikes, and then the rock is standing higher than the spikes, so then you can jump on the rock and jump to the next platform. You do the same thing in this game, except you can't pick up the rocks because you're a little fucking child. Instead, you hit the rocks with your big-ass club and then knock them into the spikes, and then you jump on the rock and jump across the spikes that way. It's not a very deep game. It's a pretty fun platformer. Like, if you want a platformer from the 16-bit generation, this is a good one and not a bad one. It goes solidly right into the B tier.
Our tier list is really, really weighted in the down section.
Oh, I'm sure it is. BC Racers is the 3rd Chuck Rock game, and this one is not a platformer. It's a kart racer, but it's set in the same universe, which I found very interesting. So this game's kind of a mix of Mario Kart and Road Rash, and essentially you are racing down a track. You hold B to accelerate, and then you have 2 people in each kart that you're driving, and you press A to attack to your left and C to attack to your right. And that's all of the mechanics of this game. And like, so the attacking is why I say that it's kind of like Road Rash, because in Road Rash, the Road Rash games on Sega Genesis, you were racing and you were attacking players to your left or right, and trying to knock them off of their motorcycles. You're doing the same kind of thing here, where you're attacking the other carts and trying to, they have a life bar, you're trying to, like, destroy their life bar. But then it's like Mario Kart, because it's like that Super Nintendo Mario Kart game where you're, on a flat plane and driving around in circles and whatnot. It's a very simple game. It's fun though. I could see this being a lot of fun playing 2-player with a friend. It's pretty fun as a single player experience. It took me about 20 minutes or so, 15-20 minutes to get through the 8 races to be able to beat, like, the first cup of the game, and I called that a beat. I said, "Hey, I got the trophy. I won the game. I don't have to play all of the cups, right?" So,
cool.
It's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine. Right back into that B tier. It's fine.
From what I've seen, there are 2 versions on Sega. There's both a Sega CD version and a 32X version.
I'm not familiar with the 32X version. So yeah, I can't speak to that one, because as I said, I don't own a 32X, so I can't play any of the 32X games. So I might try and buy a 32X at some point, but it's a little expensive to buy a 32X these days. They're a little pricey. So
from what I'm seeing, it's just the same game, but it has a better frame rate.
Oh, cool. I mean, the frame rate wasn't bad. I mean, it was maybe 20 frames per second, so it might be a little choppy for people, but if you play a lot of old games like I do, you're probably not going to care. Like, it's not bad enough to be terrible or, like, be noticeably bad, in my opinion. How about we talk about some shoot-'em-ups? Are you a big shoot-'em-up fan?
Mr. Sparkle is going to get excited.
I'm sure he will. So Soul Feace. Soul Feace is the first one that I want to talk about. And this is one that is kind of generally talked about as like a really good entry point into the genre. Like it's supposed to be a fairly easy game, and it's supposed to be like that perfect level of difficulty where like a casual could play it, could play and beat it, but it's not. But it's also fun for a more advanced shoot 'em up player. I found it a little bit difficult personally, mostly because all the bullets were really, really small and sometimes hard to see on the background. And that could just be because of the way that I'm playing the games. So to take a step back, the way that I'm playing games, I'm playing through the Genesis, an actual Genesis on an EverDrive, but what I'm using is a really, really cheap RCA to HDMI converter, and then running that HDMI cable into my capture card, and then the capture card has video out going straight to a monitor. So my video quality is not great for the way that I was streaming these games. Like, it's passable. I think it looks fine, but I did have some people come into the stream and be like, yeah, your video quality for these games is not great. And yeah, I mean, it's not. It doesn't look as good as it would if you were playing on, an actual CRT TV.
Yeah.
So my problems with the bullets being not very visible might have something to do with that. This game does have a separate version called Soul Dees. That is the Sega Genesis version, whereas Soul Feace with an F is the Sega CD version. It's the same game, different music, because Sega CD has CD quality audio and the Sega Genesis did not. Overall, I think it was fine. If I practiced more, I could probably get better at this game and try and beat it, but playing it on stream, I wasn't going to sit there and struggle with a single shoot 'em up for several hours to try and get better at it. So I think go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking at some gameplay footage on YouTube, and yeah, the bullets often seem really small and blending in the background.
Yeah.
So I think it's a legitimate complaint that you have.
Okay. So this one, it's fine. Goes right in the B tier. Perfectly reasonable game. Slipheed, I think is how this is pronounced. It's Slipheed. This is the only vertical scrolling shoot 'em up that I played. And it's all polygons. So it's all 3D polygons in like space. And it looks really, really good. Like this game looks and actually runs really well on the Sega CD. I was surprised because most games that I had seen that were trying to emulate any sort of like actual 3D space really ran with really choppy frame rates. And that's kind of the nicest thing I have to say about this game, because I found it very hard. But that's also probably because I'm pretty bad at shoot 'em ups. Like, it's not my genre. I enjoy playing them, but I've never spent the time to like get good at them. So I found this one very challenging. I got to the third level and kept dying midway through the third level. Like, it felt like I was right before the boss, and I kept getting a little bit farther, like you do. But again, I was on stream. I wasn't going to continue to just play the same game while I was trying to do a randomizer. So I think this game is cool. Graphically, it looks really, really cool. And I didn't mention this at the top. I should have. Basically every game on the Sega CD, even these bad ones, awesome soundtracks. I don't know what they were on, but they were like, we have CD quality audio. Let's fucking go. Like, we have to go so hard with the audio in every one of these games. And all of them, fucking great music. And this one, no exception. Android Assault. Another shoot 'em up.
So, it was B tier too, right?
Yes, that one's B tier also. Android Assault is is definitely one of the cooler shoot 'em ups that I played. This one's also anime, very anime. I am very surprised at how many games have like anime cutscenes and just an anime aesthetic from the 90s on this console, because like that wasn't something that I saw very much growing up, you know. But I was a child in the 90s, so it's not like I was watching. Like I know in the early 90s, like Sci-Fi Channel was showing anime movies and stuff like that, but it hadn't reached the popularity that it had these days. And it hadn't quite reached me as a child yet, because like Pokemon wasn't popular, Dragon Ball Z wasn't popular, Sailor Moon wasn't popular, Yu Yu Hakusho wasn't popular yet. Like this is before all of that. So seeing anime games coming out in the early 90s before any of the anime that like I grew up with is really surprising to me. And this game is mecha anime, the fucking shoot 'em up. Essentially, you are playing as a ship, and as you gain power-ups, you transform your ship and increase the firepower of your ship, and eventually you turn into like an actual mecha, and then you're flying around as the mech. This game was really cool because it's a horizontal shoot 'em up, and some of the levels have like vertical space that is off screen, which is odd for a shoot 'em up, in my opinion. Like you don't see that very often, where like normally it's just everything's on just this one horizontal plane, but you can, if you move up to the top of the screen or up towards the top of the screen in this game, in some of the levels, like the screen will scroll up with you and scroll down with you, so you have a really, really wide field of play.
Yeah.
At least in some of the levels. Some of them it's definitely much more confined just to like the smaller screen space, but I found that really cool and something that I hadn't seen much before. And the aesthetic of it and like the enemy mechs that you're fighting were just awesome. Like this game, graphic design wise, like knocks it out of the fucking park. It's really, really fucking cool. Yeah, this one, I'm putting it into A tier. This is a great game. If like I said, I don't play a whole lot of shoot 'em ups, but I had a lot of fun playing this one, and I didn't find it too challenging. I got pretty far into it. I got to like level 5 or 6.
Nice.
And that was on, without trying to continuously like replay the game. So solid game. Really enjoyed this one. And then final shoot 'em up that I played was a game called Keio Flying Squadron. Also very anime. Like, and this one is anime, not in like the mecha or just like, oh, suddenly the characters kind of look like they're anime. This is anime in the way that like only early 90s anime was, and looks like anime characters. It feels like you're watching an anime in like the intro cutscene.
Yeah. Okay.
If that makes sense. So you play as this girl. Her name is Rami. She does like a Sailor Scout transformation at the beginning, and she transforms into this bunny girl. So now she's wearing like, well, I mean, if you know what like the traditional bunny girl like leotard kind of revealing outfit looks like from some anime, she's wearing that, and you're flying on the back of this little cute little dragon, and you're flying through these levels, and you're fighting against the most Japanese things that you can imagine. Essentially, the main bad guy is a tanuki who stole the key from your shrine, and you're trying to get it back. And you're fighting against like creatures from Japanese folklore and like just random, like I think like a foot. Just a disembodied foot is one of the enemies that comes flying towards you at some point in time. And then, like, you're fighting against the U.S. military in one of the levels. And it's fucking batshit insane. Really fucking cool. This is 100% my thing. I really enjoyed my time with this one, too. So this one also going right into the A tier. I had a great time with this one. I recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it looks really, really fun. I think I would enjoy that.
And also not super hard. That's one that I feel like I could probably beat if I actually sat down with it and spent a week practicing, playing through the game, getting to a point where I completely died, stopping, and then the next day trying again. It's one that I could see myself beating at some point in time. Very fun. I highly recommend.
Cool. On my end, I have more games too.
You do, yeah.
The next game I'm gonna talk about is called Songs from the Iron Sea, and this game is a recommendation from our friend Mr. Mo.
Oh.
So I was still missing a mermaid game for the Polyguild Bingo, and I didn't really need to play this game because right after I beaten this game, I've beaten Great Greed, and there's a mermaid as an enemy in Great Greed. So
cool.
I could have used that for the mermaid square. But yeah, I played Songs from the Iron Sea, and it's an indie game on Steam, and it's free. It's a free game, and from what I can see, it's a game made by students in a college in Montreal, like a video game course in Montreal.
Awesome. I love those kind of games. They're so cool.
Yeah, and basically it's you're playing as a mermaid and you're traveling in I don't want to say polluted sea, but you're going like through watery setting set like in a factory setting. So there's like an evil robot watching you, and you have to do some light platforming, if you can say platforming, because you're actually swimming most of the time, but at some points you actually have to do some jumps between water area, so you go out of the water and jump between like water puddles, and the goal of the game is just going from left to right, going at the end of the game and collecting part of a poem. And it's like a vibe game. It's a bit like chill Limbo under the sea. If I had to put some words, so I had to describe this game as another game, I would say chill Limbo under the sea. And the game is super simple. You can play this game like under an hour. You just have to, like most of the game, you're moving to the right, and there's slight puzzles, like you have to move some magnets around to activate some switches. There's a kind of boss fights where you have to hide behind some rocks and some under the environment, so the evil robot won't shoot lasers at you. And there's like an hidden collectible where there's like a side poem that you can also collect. So there's like an 100% if you really want to look around, which I did, and it was like a fun little challenge. But it's the kind of challenge like if you're used to play platformers, like you're used to check every passageways before moving to the next section. So it wasn't really difficult to find those secret poems lines. And yeah, I don't really know what to say more about this game. It's chill. There's slight puzzle, and the ambience is super, super cool. And like it's at the end where you're trying to avoid the lasers from the big robot in the background. It's pretty creepy, and I had a fun time playing through this game. It's pretty chill. It's pretty fun, and it's just like a vibe game. And just the fact that it was made like by a couple students, probably for like their end of the year project, is pretty amazing. Like they really crafted a well-designed game in a couple months while also going to school and probably having a side job and partying. So yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, like if I had to be a bit obnoxious, the sound design wasn't really good. Like, you have a button to sing as your mermaid, but there's like no point to doing that. I didn't really understand why you could do that, and there's not really any music also. So the vibe is good and everything, but like, you would be better off just having like some Donkey Kong Country aquatic ambience running in the background while you play this game, because there's not really a lot of music, not a lot of sound effects. So the sound design is not really, really good, but the game is fun. So once again, I would put this right into the B tier. It's fine. It's a good 1 hour. It's free. And for what it is, it's a pretty fun experience.
Cool. Awesome. That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I have my last Sega CD game, but not my last game.
Okay.
This game is called Space Adventure Cobra: The Legendary Bandit.
Wow.
This is a text adventure / visual novel. I'm not sure which it should really be classified as. But this is developed by Hudson Soft, which is the same people who made Bomberman, if you're familiar with that massive fucking franchise. Which I found interesting. I always find it interesting when this super well-known publisher or developer like makes this weird random game back in the 90s, and you're like, wait, what? They made this? So
yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out. So this game was originally published in 1991 for the PC Engine in Japan, which is the TurboGrafx 16 CD for those of us here in the States who don't know. It's the same console. And according to Wikipedia, I got this information off Wikipedia, this was the first licensed anime game to receive an M rating from the ESRB here in the United States. Which, interesting point. Primarily for nudity and sexual themes.
Okay.
So this was the first game that popped up on my randomizer wheel while I was playing Sega CD games on stream. And I stopped playing this game on stream at the perfect time, because when I started this game back up, about 2 minutes after I had stopped playing this particular game on stream, naked woman on screen. So that would have gotten me flagged by Twitch TOS.
Yeah.
Like immediately, that would be a problem. Like I don't think it actually would have been a problem, because like TOS is somewhat lenient on the fact that like if you don't know that there's nudity in a game and it just like happens, then it's like there's nothing you can really do about that, right? So like they're a little bit lenient, so I don't think it would have actually affected my stream in any way. But I would rather not push any buttons if I don't have to.
Yes.
But this game is also very anime, and I mean that in the most literal sense, that this game is based on a manga that originally released in 1978 and got a film adaptation in 1978 and has had multiple anime releases throughout the 90s and the mid 2000s. I've not seen any of them.
When you say movie, is it American movie or Japanese movie?
Japanese. So a Japanese animated movie, an OVA.
Yeah, an OVA.
Yeah. Okay. I've not seen any of them. I've been trying to find them because I found this game fucking cool as hell. You play as Cobra, you're a space pirate, and you start the game and you're essentially trying to find your partner and your spaceship. And you've been like in hiding for 3 years. And the game doesn't tell you anything about who these characters are or like what you're looking for. All it says is that like, you know, it'll show, it's kind of visual novel style. So like it'll show a scene of like your dude riding on a motorcycle and he's riding towards this bar. I'm going to talk about like the intro of this game. And text will pop up on screen, and some of it is voice acted, and it's voice acted pretty well, but it's like half voice acted and half of it is just text. So you're riding towards this bar, and he's basically like, oh, I have to find Jane and the turtle, or Lady and the turtle, and doesn't give you any explanation as to who those are. You find out through context at a later point in time that Lady is the name of your android partner, and the turtle is the name of Cobra's spaceship. If you knew anything about the source material, you would have already known that. I knew nothing about the source material because I had never heard of this before, just randomly playing it.
Yeah.
So starts out a little bit confusing, and I just kept playing, and the pieces started to come together. So you get to the bar, you beat up some thugs, and you continue to look for Lady, and then you eventually get attacked by this guy called Crystal Boy. And he's like this other space pirate, but he's part of like this other faction of space pirates, and he doesn't like Cobra, and Cobra doesn't like him, and like there's this whole backstory there that the game tells you nothing about. So yeah, I mean, like that's the entire setup for this story, and then like you eventually get to your turtle, you get to your ship, and you get there with this woman named Jane Royal, who's a bounty hunter who was like looking for you, but she's also one of 3 triplets who all have parts of a map tattooed on their backs, and you need all 3 of the triplets together with all 3 of their tattoos to find this legendary treasure that their father hid years ago. So that's your plot, that's your setup. You'll take Jane to go find her 2 sisters that she has no idea where they are in this galaxy, and figure out what's up with this treasure, all while being chased by Crystal Boy. So the main gameplay loop of this is a text adventure. So you I'm going to lay out like the introduction of this game. You pull up on your bike outside of the bar, and you have a text box that pops up, and you have look or think as your 2 options. So you select look, and it pulls up a sub menu with what you want to look at, and you can look at the pub, you can look at the bikes, or you can look behind you. You select each of those options, you get a description of what you're looking at, and then while you're getting that description, like the scene changes, and you look at the bikes, it zooms in on the bikes, and a line is said about the bikes. You look at the bar, a line is said about the bar. You have to go through each of those things, sometimes multiple times, to open up new dialogue options and new options within that text menu to be able to continue to progress the game forward. This game's very linear. There's no deviating paths. Like, you just have to select the right options to be able to progress the story forward. And
do you have any fail state? What happens if you say the wrong thing?
As far as I can tell so far, nothing. Like,
okay.
Well, I tried to fail multiple times while playing this game, and every time I tried to select an option that I thought was going to lead to a fail state, it would just be like, oh, you do the thing, but it doesn't work. And then it brings you back to the same menu again.
Okay, it's fine. It's more like an interactive story at this point.
Yeah, it's very much just an interactive story. And the story's, I mean, it's good. It was captivating enough for me to want to interact with this franchise and seek out the movie and the anime, which I haven't yet. I found them on, I don't remember the name of the website. There's a, let's say, less than savory way to watch anime online, and the movie was technically available on there, but it was too big of a file for like me to load up on my tablet for whatever reason, and like it wouldn't want to play. So I'm I'm currently looking for a way to watch this movie and watch the anime so that I can get more of this story, because I feel like this game is definitely just like an expansion on this world that already exists.
Yeah.
Man, it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't normally play text adventures like this, but the design of it and just the aesthetic. I mean, like I said, this is late 1970s anime. Like, I love that stuff. It's so good. I mean, like that's like Lupin the Third and like early Mobile Suit Gundam from like the very early 80s. Like, oh, it's so good. So the aesthetic and the aliens and the creature designs and everything, like it drew me in. The story was pretty fun. I would put this game in our A tier. I liked it that much.
Cool. Nice.
It drags a little bit towards the end. I feel like it's maybe a little bit long, but it's definitely worth playing.
Cool. That sounds like a great anime time.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I'm not gonna be too far from anime, because my last game, it's a bit of a stretch, but my last game is the latest Pokemon mobile game that just released like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
It's Pokémon TCG Pocket. Have you heard of this? Have you ever played the Pokemon TCG game?
So I've not heard of this game. I did used to play Pokemon, the card game, in the first couple of generations of Pokemon. So
okay. So basically, they released a new version of the Pokemon game only for mobile, and it's kind of a reinvention of the Pokemon TCG game, and there's multiple aspects to the mobile game. So firstly, it's a mobile game, so that's the part that I don't really like about the game. You can spend a lot of money in this game if you want to try to collect all the cards and everything, but I come straightly from a free-to-play player. That's the way I'm using the game.
Okay.
The first contact with the game is extremely bad. Like, it's, oh, you need to do this, and then you need to open this pack, and then you need to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's super slow, and it's really a mobile game in the first few minutes when you open the game. And for me, the worst thing about like the first contact with the game is that it's a Pokemon trading card game, and when you're done doing the tutorial, you cannot play the game yet.
Oh.
It's so fucking wild to me. Once you've done all the tutorials, you only have like a bunch of cards. You cannot build a deck, and you cannot play the game. You don't have enough cards. It's been like 10 days since I've done that, but I was like, yeah, but okay, I have cards, but what do I do with them? And there's a thing called Wonder Picks. So basically, you can draft cards from other players around the world. Every day, I think it will show some of your friends if you've added friends to your contact list. And other than that, it's random people on the internet, and they have 5 cards that you can pick from, and you don't like. I don't have to do anything. So if people want to pick some of my cards, just the game sending my profile around and picking 5 random cards from my list of cards. And the more rare cards are in the 5 cards that you can pick from, the highest the cost to try to draft those cards are. There's like a billion different fucking currencies. Like, there's a currency for the Wonder Picks, there's a currency for the shop, there's a currency for adding flair to your cards. There's a billion stuff. I don't really care about that, but As a free player, the game is still kind of generous. You can open 2 pack of 5 cards every day, and you can wonder pick once or twice every day. So you get like 12 new cards every day. So it's really not that bad. But after a couple of days, you will start to only get duplicates, and it's hard to get those rare cards. And yeah, so that's kind of the aspect of collecting cards. I think it's fine. I think it's generous enough, and you can get a kick out of it of collecting cards without paying a dime. But there's also the game aspect of the trading card game where you can actually battle other people online using your Pokemon cards. And I think the game has been already downloaded like millions of times. I think the game was downloaded like 500,000 times in the first 24 hours or something like that. It's pretty big right now, so that's fun. If you want to play online, I think I'm playing against real people, and it feels like there's a meta, and so it's cool being part of something current right now. And the difference between this game and the main trading card game is that there are no element cards. Like in the main Pokemon card game, you have to have a number of energy cards on top of all your Pokemon cards and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's more like dang it, what's the Blizzard Hearthstone. Yeah, it's a bit more like Hearthstone. On every turn you get 1 energy that you can attach to one of your Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and your bench is only 3 Pokemon. You can only have 3 Pokemons in your bench and 1 active Pokemon. And the gimmick, if you want, are the X Pokemon cards, which are more powerful Pokemon cards. But there's also a trade-off, because to win the game, you have to beat 3 Pokemon of your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And enemy, the guy you're playing against. But those X powerful cards are worth 2 Pokemon if they're defeated. So they're stronger, but if you get killed, your adversary will only need one other kill to win the game. And I would say that right now, I've been playing for like 10 days or so, and I'm having fun. I have like over 150 different cards. I have most of the current meta rare cards, and I managed to find them just by being a free-to-play players. And I've started... I don't have all the cards to build one of the meta decks right now, but I've kind of adapted my strategy with one deck that isn't really in the meta, but I'm getting some wins. I have already 5 wins. I'm not playing a lot, like I'm only having a duel like twice every day. But yeah, I think if I'm feeling a bit confused and desperate with this, but it's a trading card game, and if I had to like break it down, the mobile game aspect of the game sucks. I would very much prefer this game to not have all that microtransaction and everything, but I think for now you can have fun and win games without paying a dime. I think the game is a bit slow. There's a lot of animations and stuff that I feel don't really fit with being on the phone and just wanting to play a quick game. Like a game online could theoretically last 40 minutes. Like every player have 20 minutes to do it. I've never seen it happen. Like it's more like a 10-minute deal, but even 10 minutes I feel is a bit long for a mobile card game. Like I've played Marble Snap last year for a bit, and those duels only lasted like 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, weren't Hearthstone games only like 3 to 5 minutes also?
I've never played Hearthstone really, so I can say, but yeah, they're pretty quick from what I've seen.
Okay. I didn't know if you.
So
had
yeah,
not,
yeah.
so.
I feel like the game is a bit too slow, but on the other hand, the card art are amazing. The application has a lot of personality. You really have to rip your card packs apart, and then you can even flip them upside down, and then you open your card, but then they flip, and there's like a reveal on each card. And so you can. The game has a lot of personality. Pokemon is fun. It's fun seeing all those classic creatures that you love, and collecting stuff is fun. So as a free game, I think I would put it in the A tier.
Okay.
For now, I don't see really the appeal of putting money in it. Maybe in a few months, in a few years, maybe next year it would just be fine because those who would have put some money will really have better decks and everything. But for now, for the initial launch and the initial hype, I think it's a great game, and you can really just collect fun cards and have fun with your friends, just playing the game for free. So for now, I would say that the Pokemon TCG game, it's Pokemon TCG Pocket, is fun. It's a great game.
Okay.
Having fun. I'm still like opening the app like first thing in the morning, just seeing my new cards.
So my only question is, how many Pokemon are in this game? Is it just the initial 151, or is it across the entire board at this point to how many they have?
Yeah, it's all across the board, but it's still a limited amount of cards. So they've only designed a set amount of cards.
Okay.
But it's not only the first 150. I have the app just right here. Oh, I don't think I can see because when you get a new card, you see like a collection, but with all the. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can see it with all the cards that you're missing. There are about 250 cards or so right now.
So,
but yeah.
One other question in the Pokemon trading card game, apart from just your Pokemon and your energy cards, you already said that there's no energy in this game. You also had your trainer cards. Do you have trainer cards in this game?
Yeah, you have trainer cards. There are like but they're you can only play one player card per turn, and they're really strong. Right now, you basically have to stack your deck with items and trainer cards, because you can get Professor Oak that make you draw 2 cards on like every turn, and you can only have 2 copies of each card, but that's like 6 free cards if you think about it.
Yep.
Because you have your 2 Professor Oak plus 4 cards that you draw. So out of a 20 card deck, 6 of those cards are free. That's pretty strong.
Anytime in a constructed card game, if you can draw additional cards, it's always the most powerful thing you can do. So, years of Magic the Gathering have taught me that. So,
yeah, exactly. And one of the strongest deck right now is the Articuno deck, and you have a Misty trainer card that I don't have right now, but on every turn, I think you flip coins, and for each head that you get, you can add additional water energy to your Pokemon.
Okay.
And the Articuno, I think it's Articuno. There's like a condition that you have to have additional energy to trigger like its secondary effect. So having Misty really boosts your creature really fast, and you can like on first and second turn already get super strong attacks.
Cool.
Oh yeah, and one really weird thing about this game is that going first is actually going second. That's fucking weird. If you're going first, you don't get an energy to attach to your Pokemon, but you don't get any other... Like, the only advantage that you get from going first is having one additional card.
Mm-hmm.
But since you need to set your Pokemon, evolve them, set energy, having that one card on a 20 card deck where you can use your Professor Oak to draw even more cards, it's really not a huge deal. So since you cannot attach an energy on your main Pokemon on the first turn, actually going second is way better, because on your first turn you can already maybe attack, or you will be the first one to attack because you have more energy.
Mm-hmm.
So going first is really going second. So that's really weird.
That's interesting. That adds an extra layer of strategy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get deep into it right this moment, but there is kind of a similar thing in Warhammer right now where when you have the option of whether or not you want to go first or second, it's usually better to just take going second. So,
yeah.
All right, cool. I have one final game to talk about, and it's my only non-Sega CD game that I brought today. And I played this game kind of as a meme because I bought a new PC recently. So my old PC was getting old. It was at least 10 years old, and I bought it like 4 years ago used. So it wasn't able to do what I wanted it to do anymore. Like, it was so old at this point that the latest version of OBS was not compatible with my graphics card anymore.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. That's old.
So I finally broke down. I bought a new PC, and back when I was in high school and just after high school, the meme was, when you buy a new PC, can your PC play Crysis? So I played Crysis on my new PC.
Nice.
And you know what? Crysis is pretty fucking fun. I'm not gonna lie. This game's pretty fucking cool. So for anyone not aware, Crysis is a first-person shooter that originally came out in 2007. Late 2007, so I think it was like November 2007, so nearly 2008. I played the 2020 remaster of the game, and man, this is it's a good first-person shooter. You're a super soldier, and you get dropped into North Korea, and you have to extract some people, and you got a squad, and you got to do military shit, and you got to shoot a bunch of stuff, and it's fun. There's actually some really interesting things, and I can see why this game was so graphically intensive. Even playing like the remastered version, you can tell it looks old in some ways, but you can also tell that, like, even in the ways that it looks old, this was really pushing the limits of what graphics could do at the time. Like, everything is so dense. So you're in North Korea, you're in jungles. There is grass and brush and trees everywhere, and it all moves and sways in the wind. And looking at comparisons between 2007 footage and modern footage, like, yes, the modern footage looks better, but it looks better in terms of its graphical fidelity, but like, all of that brush and grass and everything, it was still there. And like, when you walk through bushes, the branches like move out of your way sometimes. Like, that kind of level of detail, I don't really think you saw that often in first person shooters at that period of time. Like, it's kind of more common nowadays, obviously, but it wasn't at that period of time. Also, the environments, destructible. If you shoot walls of buildings enough, they fall down. They break apart. Trees fall down when they get shot with rockets. Like, basically everything is destructible, and I feel like they got a lot of that from Red Faction, because that game is kind of famous for its destructible environments, but Red Faction was also very sparse and kind of empty. Crysis is massive in its scope and its scale, because you get dropped into a level and you have like an entire, I don't want to say world, but you basically have a world to explore to be able to choose in which direction you want to approach your mission. So like you get dropped into an area and your mission is like, oh, we have to save this civilian from this specific building within this town. Well, there's like 5 different ways you can approach this town. You could go straight down the main road and encounter troops on the main road and fight your way through that heavy encampment. Or you could go through the woods and you know, fight a couple of troops that are like scouring through the woods and try and take them out. And you can take them out silently if you use silenced weapons, or you can take them out loudly and try and draw enemies into that area. You can rush in and just try and complete the objective as fast as possible and then get out as fast as possible without killing anybody. You can go in and try and kill everybody in your path and just be a fucking machine about it and be systematic about it. And so the decisions that this game allows you to make in terms of like the way you want to approach a specific encounter, like I don't know, like I don't play a lot of first person shooters, but like I've played some even from around this time. Like last year I played Medal of Honor 2010, and that game was extraordinarily linear in the way it wanted you to approach every encounter, and that's 3 years after Crysis came out. And so I can see how this game was revolutionary in its time for the way that it designs its world and its encounters and everything. Is very, very fun. So because you're a super soldier, you have this special suit. You have special moves. You can jump very, very high, like as high as the first story of a building. You can go invisible for a short period of time. You can run very, very fast, like as fast as a car. Or you can use your energy bar. All of these require the use of an energy bar, which is basically like a mana bar. You can spend that mana bar or that energy bar to become like invulnerable for a short period of time, and then every bullet that hits you drains your energy instead of draining your health. And all of these are used in, or can be used in, various ways. So like you need to get away from a squad of enemies, turn invisible and run away. And then they won't be able to find you because you're invisible. They can't see you anymore. Hiding behind bushes in this game actually hides you from enemy AI, which is normally not a thing in games. Normally enemies can just see you through, you know, whatever cover you're in. Like, all of these things just led to an experience where I was like, I started it. This is like a 9-hour long game. I played it in one day.
Wow.
Like, I just had so much fun with it. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not huge on first person shooters, but I was having such a good time with it that I just excuse me. Yeah, I couldn't stop playing it. I just wanted to keep playing. So I just did. And I took some breaks here and there. But yeah, man, this game's really cool. It's really fun. I can see why people were hyped about it at the time. I can see why people should still be hyped about it. And from what I've been told, the sequels are supposed to be even better than what this game was.
Wow. Okay.
So I bought the trilogy remastered on Steam for like $40 on sale, or I could have bought each one of the 3 games for $30. So I have 2 more of these awesome games to look forward to.
So cool.
The last thing I want to mention is that all the bullets have trajectory in the game, so they're not hit scan. So if you see an enemy that's really far away, you can actually like see the bullets coming at you, and you can kind of see like the trails of your bullets as they're firing through the world. So that's one of those things where, like, you know, some games where a first person shooter where it is just hit scan, you don't have to worry about leading your shots at all. You 100% have to worry about leading your shots in this game. So they tried to make everything as realistic as they could, with the exception of like the aliens that you eventually have to fight later in the game. Because it gets weird and it gets very sci-fi, and yeah, it's got a really cool conclusion where like you're fighting against this giant alien thing while you're on a boat in the middle of an ocean. It's fun. This game was a lot of fun.
It sounds really fun. So the goal of the game is to kill the aliens?
Yeah, so the story of the game is that, like, the North Koreans have found these aliens, like, buried deep beneath the earth, and you don't really know that they're aliens at first. You just think that, like, they're mining some kind of, like, ancient technology. So you're going in as this special U.S. Special Forces squad to, like, stop them from having access to this technology and get some researchers out that had been captured by the North Koreans that were, like... So you're trying to get these researchers, and then it turns into, like, a fight for survival against the aliens.
Okay.
So
sweet.
Yeah, solid game. It's A tier all the way. This is a great game. It's not gonna stack up against, like, some of my absolute favorites in the world, but this is probably my favorite first-person shooter I've played this year, and I've played some pretty good ones this year. Like, I really enjoyed my time, to sidetrack for a second, I really enjoyed my time with 007 Nightfire. I thought that game was really, really good. And Red Faction 2 I played earlier this year in, like, February, because it was a 2002 game. And I loved Red Faction 2. And this was kind of taking the core concept of Red Faction 2 and kind of expanding on it even more. So, a lot of fun. Really enjoyed Crysis. I see why people are hyped about it.
Sounds like you just picked the perfect game to kick off your new PC gaming journey.
Yeah. And I think the next couple of games that I'm going to end up playing on the PC are probably going to be like arcade games from 1996 or something.
The good old classic.
Yeah.
Getting a new PC and then just firing up Mario 1.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, cool. That rounds up the how many games? There's like 20 games on the tier list this week. We managed to talk about like 20 games in one episode, and our friends in Kindle Across the Sea just are still in the second zone of the first Dark Souls.
Yep.
After 4 episodes.
4 episodes in. Haven't even gotten through the first game yet. In fact, they have gotten approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours into that game.
That's pretty crazy. Even my favorite games I couldn't talk about for so long.
I know.
That's incredible.
We love you guys, but
yeah. Get to the point. Get to the fucking point. Oh yeah, that's a nice tier list, and we're gonna have something pretty different next week. Do you want to explain what the concept is for our next episode?
Yeah, so for our next episode, kind of our plan right now is to spend $20 on games, whether that's on Steam or on PlayStation Network or itch.io or GOG or wherever you can buy games at. We're going to go in, we're going to spend $20 and just buy whatever games we can get for that small amount of money and play those games and see what they are. And this is one of the things that I personally love to do, is just go in and buy random games that with that, like, set price limit. And that's how I found a lot of really, really cool games. Because, like, going through the PlayStation sales, and now I can go through Steam sales, and just finding weird random games is a lot of fun. And sometimes you find awesome stuff, and sometimes you find absolute fucking garbage. But you never know until you actually try it.
Exactly. Are you going to use your wish list, or are we going blind into the store and just browsing?
I may use my PlayStation wish list a little bit if any of the games that I currently have on there are on sale, because I'm probably going to do this
on the
PlayStation Network. There are a couple of games on there that, like, have been on sale in the past for pretty cheap that I passed on, that I may go ahead and finally pick up. But I think for the most part, I'm gonna try and find new games to play. I will say, I think we're gonna release this episode on Monday, and I think that Monday my stream is going to be shopping through the PlayStation Store to try and find these $20 worth of games to
really cool.
So that should be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I tried to tune in.
Cool. All right. Let's move on to hobby time then. So for my first thing for hobby time, the Saturday after we recorded last, so a little bit behind the scenes, we typically record on Fridays. The Saturday, so 2 weeks ago on Saturday, I played in a single day Warhammer tournament. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because I've mentioned playing Warhammer here on the podcast, but I haven't really gone deep into it. And I think on our first episode, actually, I had talked about I was planning on going to a tournament, and I just wasn't able to end up going to that one because it was a full 2-day weekend commitment. And I just couldn't. I had something come up to where I couldn't commit the full 2 days to playing games. Mm-hmm. But so this was a single day tournament, which means I played 3 games. Each game is 3 hours long. And then you have an hour-long lunch in between and about a 15-minute intermission in between each match, to allow people like a little bit of time to like get drinks and whatnot, and submit their scores and everything. So for those unaware, I play Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which is the fantasy version of the Warhammer universe. The other version is more popular. It's called Warhammer 40,000 or Warhammer 40K. That's the sci-fi version of the game.
Okay.
That has Space Marines and Necrons and Tau and all of the like spaceships and stuff like that. That's not the version of Warhammer I play. So currently, I'm going to talk about Warhammer as though you know what I'm talking about, and I don't expect you to know anything about what I'm talking about, okay?
Yeah.
So, I am currently playing an army called Nighthaunt. They are ghosts. They are one of the most powerful armies in the game right now for a multitude of reasons that we don't need to get into. My first game was against my friend John. I played against his Sylvaneth. They are essentially tree elves. Very cool. We went to time in the middle of round 3 with me winning. Barely. Had that game continued on to a full 5 rounds, I would have lost 100%, but because we went to time, it was a very close game, and this is a very hard army for me personally to play against with the army that I'm currently playing. Game 2, I played against Gus. Gus is a good player, but he's also a young kid. I've played against him many times, and his biggest issue right now is that he's like 14. That's it. Like, he comes with his dad to Warhammer tournaments, and they're both great. I love them both. But because Gus is young, I think that's his biggest hang-up in playing competitive Warhammer right now, but he tries, and he's getting better. I've seen him get better over the last 4 years, because he's been playing for the last 4 years. So he's been playing since he was 10. He's either 14 or 15. He might even be 16 now. He's young. But so he's been playing for a while. We had a really good game. He was playing Giants. And I just have an innate advantage against that particular army with the army that I'm playing. So even if I was playing against a good player, I probably would have won that match regardless. They just don't have the resources to be able to handle what I am doing. Mm-hmm. And then my final game was against my friend Jason. He was playing Skaven. They are the Ratmen that you may have seen from the Warhammer Skaventide games. He fucking annihilated me so bad. Jason is also really good. He is one of the best players in Kansas City. So, like, it's not a surprise that he beat me. I also don't know his army very well because he just started playing them. And B, nobody else that I know plays Skaven, so I don't really have very much experience playing against that army. Which, knowledge is key to winning games in a big strategy game. And if you don't have the knowledge, you're probably going to lose. And I did not have the knowledge, therefore I lost. It was a good game. I enjoyed myself. I learned a lot, and I have a much better understanding of how that army plays. And then me and him, we just played another game on Thursday, actually. And it was so much closer. So he beat me, looks like 44-20, which is a huge points differential. Max scoring in the game is 50 points. The game that we played on Thursday, so just yesterday, he beat me 46-40. So, much closer game. I had a much better understanding of how his army functions. I had a much better understanding of how I should be playing against his army. And I think that the next time I play against either him or another player that's playing Skaven, I will do much better and probably win that match. It's still a very hard matchup for me personally with my current army, but I think it is winnable if I play a little bit better.
Cool. And in the term of tournament, where did you end up classifying?
Oh, so I placed third.
Okay, you placed third overall.
Yes.
Nice.
So third out of 6. It was a small tournament.
Yeah, but still.
Third place is respectable. Winning 2 games and only losing 1, that's solid. Like, I'm not mad about that win-loss record. So it was fun.
Cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
On my end, I didn't compete in anything, but I've continued working on my Peggle Shadowbox thing, and yeah, my main updates for that project is that one, I've drilled a hole at the bottom of my shadow box, so now if I drop some balls, they actually fall at the bottom and just they don't stay forever in the shadow box, so that's pretty cool. And I had a prototype of how I will drop the ball using like a metal straw, but now I've drilled a hole and now I've inserted the straw and it's holding with a screw in the shadow box, so it's really staying at the top of the Peggle board, and you can really move it from left to right and drop balls in there.
Cool.
Yeah, I've also added some LEDs, so it looks a bit better. It has like a vibe. I put in blue LEDs, which fits with the blue pegs. And it's not installed yet, but earlier today I've used a plastic toy tube that I've used some heat from my iron, like my clothes iron, to shape in a way that I can install at the bottom of my shadow box. So when the balls fall at the bottom of the shadow box, now they will be in that tube, and I will be able to just remove the end of the tube so I can grab the balls and just reuse them over and over.
I gotcha.
Oh yeah, and I've also put some walls because before last week I only had the pegs, so if I were to shoot on the right, it would kind of leave the playing field. So now I've installed walls with some cardboard, like black cardboard, so you don't really see them. But now the ball always stay in the shadow box. So I'm getting pretty close to the state that I want this project to be. I need to install the tube, so the tube is like ready to be installed. So I need to fix it on the shadow bar, on the shadow box, and I like my last thing that I want to do with that project is like a launcher for my balls. So I have a prototype that works or kind of works. So I've used like chips clips where with that like spring, and I would like to install that on the metal straw in a way that you could squeeze it, install the ball, and then release it, and it will just do flop, like do a big tap on the ball, and it will have a lot of energy going into the Peggle shadow box and most likely bounce more than just dropping it in the shadow box.
Right.
So that would be like my last step, and after that I would call my project done, and I would have done everything that I want with it. So I'm pretty far advanced, and I'm really like I'm excited like to finish that one.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, my second project was I rearranged partially one of my Warhammer display cases. You can see them behind me here.
Yeah, exactly.
But those are the IKEA DTOF display cases.
Yep.
Very, very common display cases. I'm going to send you a couple of pictures really quick.
Very cool.
So, first one is of my army called the Lumineth Realm Lords. They are the High Elf faction that I have played in the past and am not currently playing, so they're on the shelf. And what I did was, on Etsy, I found somebody who is selling these, they're these little 3D printed clips that clip onto the metal bars on the inside of the DTOF, and then you can rest a solid piece of acrylic on top of them to add additional shelves inside the DTOF, which is great. That's exactly what I need, because Warhammer minis are like 1 inch to 5 inches tall, and each one of the shelves is like a foot and 3 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
So to add more space, I bought some of these, and I've only installed one so far, but I'm going to buy more. I bought 2 of them, but I installed the second shelf, which is the second picture that I sent you, so that I could put some of the stuff that I have that is kind of universal. They're called endless spells. They are basically you can use them with basically any army in the entire game. They're just necessary to have at this point in time. But they've just been kind of floating around my office here, like either parts of them are sitting on shelves here or there or wherever, and just kind of been in the way because I didn't have a designated place to put them anymore, or basically at all. So now I do, and that's great. So I have another one of these shelves, and I'm going to actually buy a few more of them, because I have I have 5 more spots that I'm currently keeping Warhammer models in, and I'm going to need to condense those down quite a bit more to be able to facilitate putting another army into those display cases and starting my 5th army for this game at some point.
Okay.
So,
and you won't ever get rid of your previous armies?
No, because I still like to pull them out and play them.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So typically what I do is I will play a single army for about 6 months at a time, and then I'll put them away and I'll pull out one of the other armies and play them for a while. And I have an idea for a new army that I want to start working on, and I'm going to need space for that eventually, but not just yet, but I'm kind of preparing for that, both mentally and physically, in like the physical storage space that I have available to me. For right now, I'm going to continue playing the army that I'm playing, probably I'm intending to go to a big 2-day tournament in January, and I think I'm going to continue to play Night Haunt until that tournament in January. And then after that tournament, I'm going to switch to one of my other armies, which might be Lumineth, because I haven't played the elves for like a solid, maybe a year and a half or so. So I'd like to get them back out and start playing them again.
Yeah.
So that's... I don't know if that's what I'm going to end up playing, but I want to play something else, and I'm kind of getting... not getting tired, but I am kind of... I'm starting to feel the fatigue of playing the same army over and over again. So
Yeah, I could see that.
But I want to play them in at least one large... well, it would technically be the second large competitive tournament, because I played them in one, but that was like 2 weeks after I started playing the army, and basically didn't know what I was doing, so... whatever, it didn't matter. I would like to play them. I would like to play them well in one large competitive tournament. Yeah. So
very cool. And for my other hobby this week, I'm still gonna talk about card making. I've ordered some laminating sheet, but I have some laminating pouches, like 3 mil and 5 mil, which are kind of too thick to be used as a cover on my plastic cards. On my playing cards, they wouldn't feel natural. So I decided to order some of the thinnest laminating roll that I could find, laminating plastic. And it's basically just a roll of very thin plastic with a very slight coat of adhesive that you can activate with heat. And I did one test and it felt super great. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I need. I can use that over like any kind of paper, and it will just turn any paper into great sliding paper that won't stick to each other. But actually the plastic is just way too thin, and I don't have the right equipment to use those rolls. Like, I assumed that I would be able to just put them over my paper and use like basic heat mechanism, like a cheap roller to use that as my laminating machine. But the plastic is so thin that it's really, really easy to have wrinkles while you do the laminating, and you just end up with a very uneven and not smooth surface with a bunch of bumps because the plastic just wrinkled while you were putting it in the machine. So I'm a bit I'm a bit sad that it didn't work, because when it works, it's fucking great. But I didn't manage to make it work yet. I might actually try to use other techniques. I have some ideas to try to stretch it, maybe use hair iron, like to maybe use that as my heat source. So
okay.
I will try, and I will try other techniques, but if not, I will either have to use the paper I said I was going to use, or try to order something else. Again, I'm still not convinced, and I wish I could just like order a sample pack of paper from like a company to just try everything and say, oh yeah, that's the one that I need, instead of spending like $30 on every pack of 100, 200 sheets to actually just use 2 or 3 of them to do some tests. But yeah, so I don't know what would happen with that, but yeah, I'm a bit sad.
Well, I hope that goes better for you. I hope you find what'll actually work.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so.
So my final little bit of hobbying. Last podcast we talked about me starting to work on a model car that I was going to turn into a diorama. I've done more work on that. I have the like super weathered paint job done on the body of the car, which I just sent to you, so you can take a look at that, and I'll post that on social media at some point in the near future. But my current challenge is I want to get the front and back windscreen to look like they're like damaged and smashed, but still there. And I went on Reddit and I was asking around about how to do something like that, and I got a lot of really good ideas from some people, and the one that really stuck out to me to make it look like actual glass at scale, which I think is like, I don't remember what scale this model car was, like 1/16th, I think that might have been it. I don't have the box for it anymore. It does not matter. Yeah. But in order to get like shattered glass at that scale, somebody recommended taking a glass phone screen protector and cutting it out into the shape of the like windscreen, and then actually breaking and smashing it, because that is actually glass, but it's inside that protective membrane, so it'll actually break like glass, but not shatter apart like the clear acrylic like windshield that came with the model. So I haven't bought one yet, but I'm gonna try that. But I was really happy with this paint job. I haven't done any of like the trim, or like there's like the windshield wiper blades on this particular model that I have not painted yet or anything, but I was really happy with the way that the like faded weathered paint job came out.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Thank you. And I did that with a technique. There's a medium that you can use. It's called chipping medium. Essentially what I did is I paint the base layer of all the brown, all the rust, and then I paint the entire car with this chipping medium with the airbrush. And then I go back in and I paint in this case, blue paint that would be the top coat, like the actual paint coat of the car. And then I let that dry and I let that set for a little while, and then I'm able to take a wet brush, and using that wet brush I'm able to, because of that chipping medium, scrape away only that blue paint instead of all of the paint. And so I was able to get this effect because of that particular medium. And I think you said it looked good. I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with the way that it turned out. I just it still has some work to go through with, like I said, with the windshields, and then like some finer details. And I need to do some like scratching and whatnot on it, but it's coming along. I'm liking it so far.
It's gonna be a great piece once it's all done. I'm sure of it.
All right, I think that's it for hobby time. Let's go on to loot box then.
Yeah, I can start the loot box. My first shout out this week is a channel called Icethetics. It's a channel all it's all devoted to hockey jerseys and the design that goes behind making an hockey jersey. And the guy is just super passionate. He classifies everything about hockey jerseys like forever. He has spreadsheets with all the different alternate jerseys, current jerseys, the ads on everything. He also has a website, and there's a big community of people just designing fantasy jerseys or imagining like possible jerseys for teams, and he also showcases them once a year. And the latest video he did is a season preview or review of what every team is going to wear, what different kind of jerseys are going to be used in the special events and everything. And it's just great if you just want to see someone being just geek out about little designs. Sometimes he overhypes little things like, oh yeah, this striping is way much better than that previous striping, and when I look at them, like, yeah, they're basically the same, but to him it changes fundamentally the jerseys. Icethetics, it's really, really great. I love on one hand, he is like cataloging everything, but is also like a great source of news about like the hockey industry and what goes into making the jerseys and the fabrics and the companies and everything. So if that's something that interests you and you want just like news about the look of the hockey teams, that's a great way to go.
What hockey teams do you support, Max?
I'm all on the Montreal Canadiens. It's the team where I live. So yeah, but in the city where I live, we used to have a team, the Quebec Nordiques, and yeah. So there's like the older generation. They don't all fully support the Montreal Canadiens. I will say the younger generation, we all grew up with only the Montreal Canadiens, so that's like that, but there's still a vibe of like rivalry, and like my mother, she supports like the Bruins and the Rangers and like random teams, but most of the people here will go with the Canadiens.
You're in Canada. Why are you supporting New York? Fuck those guys.
Well, because they're kind of rivals to the Canadiens, so it's like, yeah, we're gonna support anyone who's like making trouble for the Canadiens.
Okay, that's fair. I grew up in Connecticut, so in Connecticut, since the Whalers did not exist anymore, you root for Boston. That's just the thing you do in any sport. You root for Boston, or you root for anything but New York. So
yeah,
fuck New York. Whether it's the Rangers
exactly.
or the Yankees or what's their football team? I don't know because I don't follow football.
Yeah. Jets, the New York Jets.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah,
fuck them too. I don't know anything about them, but they can fuck off. Anyway, so
yeah.
for non-gaming related YouTube channels, I'm gonna recommend Torque Test channel. This might be very specific to me and like one of my niche interests, but Torque Test channel, essentially what they do is they take different types of power tools, specifically like impact drivers and battery powered impact drivers. That's like their main focus, and they test them against other impact drivers of like the same caliber. So they get super nerdy with it. They're testing like the pounds per square inch of like how much this is saying it produces on the box versus how much it actually produces in real life, and measuring that in massive spreadsheets that they have free online against every other product of the same classification that they've ever tested. And when they're doing the tests and they're showing video of them, they put a graph up on the screen that is showing live how much pressure is being applied or unapplied if they're doing it in reverse. I will watch this channel for hours. It's if you like spreadsheets, you will like this channel. I guarantee it.
And you say for hours. Is it something that you watch like during the evening, or is it something that you watch like when you're supposed to go to bed, and instead of going to bed, you're watching this and just ending up going to bed at 1 a.m.?
Both. So nice. It's not a channel that like I consistently watch all the time, but what'll end up happening is like I'll watch one of their videos and then I'll be like, oh shit, I haven't watched like their last 10 videos, and each one's like 15 minutes long, and I'm like, all right, I've got 2.5 hours, let's go. It's 9 o'clock at night, I can stay up till 11:30, let's do this.
Perfect. That's so good. Wow. I'm gonna go back into the gaming realm, but this one channel is a French channel, so maybe not the best thing to recommend to our audience, but it's so good I have to give him a shout out. He's called Ashikara, and he has a series called Touch My Level 1, and the concept behind the series is analyzing like the first contact you have with a game. So uh, you could say like analyzing the first level of the first Super Mario game. It was like his first video, and that's kind of gist of his channel. But it expanded with the years. And his latest video is about two games. So Zelda, the latest Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, and the Donkey Kong 96 Game Boy game, which is kind of the sequel of the Donkey Kong arcade game that spawned the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series. And the whole video is about what those games mean to the people that have played the previous games and what it means to new players. Because if you've played the Donkey Kong Game Boy game, it starts with with all the levels of the arcade game, but in this game it's just like the first world. But if you used to play that game in the arcade, it's kind of a big shift because now Mario is so agile, he has a lot of moves, and the old game is now only the first world. But if you're a kid in the 90s and you never played the arcade game, well, that's just a standard. That's just like, yeah, that's the first world. It doesn't mean anything to me. And I think there's a lot of good reflection to have. And it's the same with the Zelda game. If you've never played the Zelda game, this is your first Zelda game. Yeah, sure. Why not play as Zelda and why not have all those tools? But if you play the Ocarina of Time, if you play the Link's Awakening and Link to the Past, well, this game feels really different. It will create some situation that will really surprise you because that's not how you used to interact with the world. And yeah, I think it's a really interesting take on what those game means, and every one of his videos are like that. He always has a nice twist on why this first contact with the game is so interesting. And yeah, this channel is great. If you can read the subtitles or anything, it's really worth it. Awesome. And he only has like 10k subs. It's really like an underground channel. He deserves so much more.
Awesome. My last shout out is One Short Eye. Video is his latest video, Dirty Secrets of King's Quest 4. I've said that I'm not a big fan of point and click adventures, but One Short Eye, he primarily covers point and click adventures and typically the speed running history of point and click adventures, which is awesome. I love his videos. This one in particular wasn't going over the speedrun history. It was going over like the weird things within the text parser of King's Quest 4 and like the weird interactions that you can have that you probably didn't know were there. And even though I had never played this game before, I still watched this entire video, and it's entertaining. It's great. He's awesome.
Yeah, great pick. I love his channel. I did not watch this video yet, but it's in my list of to watch later. And I wonder if Robs, who's been sending us emails for the past few episodes, is watching this channel because he's playing through some of those point and click adventure right now. So I wonder if he knows about this channel, because I think he would be really interested.
Yeah, Rob. If you have not seen One Short Eye, you need to check out his videos. He talks about a lot of the Sierra point and click adventure games, as well as others. So, good stuff. All right, let's go to emails.
Yeah, let's go to emails. And we have a new emailer this week. We got Jimmy Mook, who sending us a short email. He says, "Hey guys, I'm really enjoying the podcast. You have some great topics. I especially like the hobby time. So there's a question for you. What is a hobby you've had a lot of interest in, but never sunk any time or money into? Keep up the great work, guys. Mook."
This is actually really easy for me to answer, and that's watchmaking. I like
Ooh.
mechanical machines. I like tinkering with things. I like taking things apart. And taking apart watches has been a recent fascination that I've had where, like, it's something that I really want to get into. The problem is that mechanical watches are, A, pretty expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and B, you need a lot of specialized tools to be able to get started. So I'm looking at, like, probably minimum having to spend like $500 just to get started into a new hobby that I don't necessarily know if I'm actually going to enjoy or not. And that's a
Yeah.
little bit of a hurdle. So,
Yeah, I can get behind that. And for me too, I think it's pretty easy. What came to mind is 3D printing and electronics.
mm.
Eh, like I like you've seen my Peggle shadow box and all those things. I like building stuff and imagining ideas and everything. And I'm sure I would love to have a 3D printer and build random shit
Yeah.
with it, and just maybe tiny arcades and shadow boxes and everything. But man, it's so expensive. Like having a good machine, and then once you once you get into the machine, you want to have a smooth finish, so you want great plastics, you want a great machine, and it really it also adds up to having some electronics, because it's fun to have like little plastic things, but if you can actually make them do something and plug in some Arduinos and then you have to solder things to it, it starts to get pretty expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
every project requires buying new stuff. And I would love to sunk time into that, but yeah, I cannot justify the price of entry for this hobby either.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet, not yet. I'm sure at some point I will find a deal or something, but for now it's I wish I had the time and I had the money.
Yeah. Me too. Uh, so 3D printing is that's another thing. Not on the plastic side, but resin printing is
Hmm.
would actually be really helpful for me with miniatures and like being able to print miniatures for Dungeons and Dragons when I DM Dungeons and Dragons. Like that'd be great.
Yeah.
Where am I going to put a printer? Where am I going to have the time to like spend time with a printer? Like,
Yeah, and it's not just that, because you also have to deal with 3D modeling if you
mm-hmm,
want to adjust everything and change them yourself, and that's a whole other story.
mm-hmm.
That's new skills, and now you have a computer, but you wouldn't have been really able to do some 3D modeling with your previous computer either. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, sure. Now I could run Blender, but I mean, now I can also video edit. So, like, maybe I can get into that now too. Like,
yeah.
the possibilities are endless at this point.
That was a great question, Mook. And yeah, if you ever have a deal on a 3D printer or something, send it my way.
Yeah, and thank you, Mook. Shout out to Mook's podcast, Split Up, that he does
Yeah,
with Dylan. It's a great horror movie podcast. I enjoy listening to it every time they put out an episode.
for sure, for sure.
All right. Our final email is from Robert. He says, "Hey guys, last episode you talked a bit about Invincible. I'm a big fan of the comic. I started reading it roughly halfway through its 15-year run. After getting caught up on it around 2010 or so, it was only the comic I actually bought on a monthly basis as it came out. He says, I even got several dozen copies signed by Ryan Oatley at a Comic-Con one year, which is awesome. To this day, it's one
Yeah.
of my top 3, although I'm not really a huge comic reader in general. Anyway, Poto played the Adam Eve game, so I thought you might be interested in this little bit of trivia about her. It's canon that when she uses her powers, it makes her have to poop. She explains it in one of the issues. When she manipulates matter, any molecules that were not used in the final product are absorbed directly into her body and are eliminated through her GI system, along with the usual waste. That's all. Talk to you next time, Rob."
I cannot believe Rob just spent all this time writing an email about poop.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
It does not surprise me at all. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob, and I will use this information sometimes in my life. I'm sure it's really, really useful.
Yeah, that'll come up in parties, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know. That's super rude as pooping.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's gonna do it.
Yeah, I
for
think that
another
rounds us
episode.
up.
So we would like to thank Heath Aldrich for our intro and outro music. You can find a link to his music on his Bandcamp page at heathaldrich.bandcamp.com.
And we would also like to thank Rainbow Savvy Designs for our logo. Links to both of their works will be available in the show notes.
And you can find the show on social media at The Trash Station. You can make sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/scotchandhobbies. I stream usually every Monday and Wednesday around 5 or 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can also find me on social media if you want at Scotch and Hobbies.
And if you want to play some of my games, you can check out my itch.io page at itch.io/Potomax. Otherwise, you can see what I'm playing and what I'm tweeting on Twitter at PotomaxDev, but that might be changing in the following week. You can also find me on Blue Sky at just Potomax. And if you speak French, I have a ton of videos on the good old YouTube at youtube.com/Jebière.
All right. And
yeah.
I think that's going to do it for tonight. Have a great night, everybody.
And you too. And please don't ever come with 1,000 Sega CD games ever again.
I cannot guarantee it.